Hey there, welcome to Learn English with Josh. I'm Josh. In this episode, I want to show you the power of reading. Throughout these episodes, I will talk a lot about the different ways that you can improve your English. You can listen to things, you can talk to people, you can do exercises, you can learn the conjugations of all the irregular verbs. But research suggests that one of the best, most efficient, and quickest ways to improve your English vocabulary specifically, is through reading. But not reading whatever, any old thing, but reading in a targeted way, reading in a pleasurable way. But most importantly, reading at a level that is appropriate for your level of English. If you read a New York Times article about the political situation in Myanmar, what are we talking about? There's so much information there that we simply cannot understand because of our level of English. But thankfully for me and for you, there exists a type of book called graded readers. And graded readers are books that are specifically edited for different levels of English learners. And many of the graded readers are actually well-known literary works, such as 1984, Pride and Prejudice, Animal Farm, Peter Pan, many of the most well-known literary works in English, but edited for people who are learning English. That means you, as a learner of English, can have contact, direct, effective contact with English on a literary level. And what's important about these graded readers is that they focus on the most frequently used English words. So you will not be frustrated when you encounter word after word after word that you are not familiar with. These books will incorporate only the most frequently used words so you can really get a deep understanding of the language. Having said all of that, and I am guilty of talking too much sometimes in my introductions, I apologize. So having said all of that, the purpose of this episode is to show you very clearly the different levels of English in graded readers, and then comparing them to the original. So what I intend to do, not pretend, what I intend to do in this lesson is to read you a portion of an original work, the original English written by the American author. Then I'm going to read an elementary level graded reader of the same work to compare the two. Then I'm going to read an intermediate level graded reader of the very same work for you to be able to compare the different versions. The beauty of the graded reader is that it allows you to slowly increase your familiarity with the language until, big surprise, you're actually reading the original works with some level of fluency. So let's begin now. I have chosen a short story, a fable called The Lady or the Tiger. And it's a question with the intonation rising at the end. The Lady or the Tiger? Written by Frank R. Stockton. He was an American author. He lived in the 19th century and died in the beginning of the 20th century in 1902. Interestingly, his father, Frank's father, did not approve of his writing career. But look at that. He has become one of America's most well-known storytellers. Imagine that. All right, prepare yourself. I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs from the original work The Lady or the Tiger by Frank Stockton. I want you to compare your English understanding to the original work. How much do you understand? What percentage, what proportion of the language do you understand? How many words are unfamiliar to you? If you are a beginner or intermediate level English learner, I feel confident to say that the original work will be difficult to understand. But that's the beauty of the graded reader. And please feel free to follow along with the words on my YouTube channel. If you are listening to this on a podcast platform, audio only, I suggest you go to my YouTube channel, Inglês, Essencial. The information is in the description below, and you can follow along with the words. You can also go to my website where I will have the books available for you. Okay, let's go. The Lady or the Tiger. In the very olden time, there lived a semi-barbaric king whose ideas, though somewhat polished and sharpened by the progressiveness of distant Latin neighbors, were still large, florid, and untrammeled, as became the half of him which was barbaric. He was a man of exuberant fancy, and withal of an authority so irresistible that, at his will, he turned his varied fancies into facts. He was greatly given to self-communing, and when he and himself agreed upon anything, the thing was done. When every member of his domestic and political systems moved smoothly in its appointed course, his nature was bland and genial. But whenever there was a little hitch and some of his orbs got out of their orbits, he was blander and more genial still, for nothing pleased him so much as to make the crooked straight and crush down uneven places. Among the borrowed notions by which his barbarism had become simified was that of the public arena, in which, by exhibitions of manly and beastly valor, the minds of his subjects were refined and cultured. But even here, the exuberant and barbaric fancy asserted itself. The arena of the king was built not to give the people an opportunity of hearing the rhapsodies of dying gladiators, nor to enable them to view the inevitable conclusion of a conflict between religious opinions and hungry jaws, but for purposes far better adapted to widen and develop the mental energies of the people. The vast amphitheater, with its encircling galleries, its mysterious vaults, and its unseen passages, was an agent of poetic justice, in which crime was punished or virtue rewarded by the decrees of an impartial and incorruptible chance. That's so good. That is so good, the use of English, the description of this king. Now, if you had difficulty understanding these passages, do not worry. We have graded readers. Now, I'm going to read the most basic level, the elementary level. Obviously, the ideas will be much edited and reduced in terms of vocabulary, but the meaning will be clear. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the elementary level of The Lady or the Tiger? Many, many years ago, there was a king in a far country. He was famous, he was strong, and he was very clever. But in his country, he had many wrongdoers. The king was unhappy about this, but how can you stop people from doing wrong? It is not easy. He thought about this difficult question for a long time, but he could not find the answer. Suddenly, one day, he had a good idea. He spoke to his people and told them to build a big stadium in the center of the city. "It must be very big and very beautiful," he told them. So the people worked hard for many months. One day, the building was finished. The stadium was ready. Inside it, there were places for 5,000 people. Everyone was very excited about this beautiful new building. Some wanted to watch games in the stadium. Others wanted to have dancing and singing. But what did the king want? No one knew. The day of the opening came. Everyone ran to the stadium to get a place inside. The people got more excited when the king arrived. They were all quiet, waiting. First, he took his place. Then he stood up and spoke. "My people, my friends," he said, "firstly, I want to thank all the workers for their good work. We now have a beautiful stadium, and it is very well built. Secondly, I know that many of you want to see games and dancing here. But this stadium is going to be different. It is not going to be a place for having a good time. It is going to be a place for wrongdoers. If one of you does something wrong, we are going to bring him to this place. There, he must stand in the middle of this stadium in front of us all." Much easier to understand, especially with my semi-Persian, South Asian Indian accent for the king. "My friends, I'm very happy to have you here." But do you see the clear difference in linguistic level? Wow, it's really, really interesting. So that was the most elementary level. Now I'm going to read the intermediate level graded reader. The Lady or the Tiger? Long, long ago, there lived a semi-barbaric king, whose ideas were also at least semi-barbaric, in spite of contact with other distant lands. He was a man with a wild imagination, but he also had the power to turn his imagination into reality. He was very independent, and once he made up his mind about something, that became law. When everybody around him did what he wanted, he was calm and pleasant. But whenever something went wrong, he became calmer and more pleasant, because nothing made him happier than fixing problems through his authority. One of the characteristics of his strong rule was the public arena, where, through battles with wild animals or gladiators, he was able to control his citizens. Even in this arena, his barbaric nature was evident. His arena had been built not to give the people the opportunity to applaud the bravery of contestants or to watch a battle between man and beast, but for the purpose of making his people think. This arena, you see, surrounded by hidden galleries, mysterious rooms, and unseen passages, served as a criminal justice court, where the guilty were punished and the innocent rewarded, as determined by impartial chance. Okay, so a little bit more complex, the vocabulary a little bit more advanced, but the idea clear, crystal clear. So once again, I want to re-emphasize the beauty and the effectiveness of these graded readers. And I highly recommend that you try them out. There are many that are free online. You can also go to my website and find an appropriate level of graded reader for you. You can download them, you can read them online, and many of them have the audio to accompany the written word. So you can not only read, but you can listen to the audio at the same time. What a fantastic resource for you to improve your English. If you're listening to this and watching this on my YouTube channel, why don't you leave a comment? Let us know what you thought of the different levels. What were some of the words that you thought were very different or unfamiliar to you? I'm curious to know. But the comment I really want you to leave is, after you read whichever level of The Lady or the Tiger is appropriate for you, answer me this. Which door did the princess choose? Ooh, I'm very curious. Let me know in the comments below. So before we go, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, like the channel, tell your friends, share it to as many people as you want. I will be forever grateful. Thank you again for listening to Learn English with Josh. I will see you next episode. Bye-bye.